for the protection of Quraysh, their protection during the winter and summer journeys. So let them worship the Lord of this house, who has fed them from hunger and made them safe from fear. 4 verses. That's all Allah revealed in Surah Quraysh. 4 short verses that every child memorizes, that millions recite in their prayers. Yet almost no one understands what they really mean. Because hidden in these verses is a secret about power, about wealth, about how Allah builds nations and destroys them. A secret about why Makkah, a city with no rivers, no farms, no natural resources, became the center of the world. The Quraysh weren't just traders. They were running the most sophisticated commercial network the Arabian Peninsula had ever seen. They had agreements with empires, protection from kingdoms, wealth flowing from Yemen to Syria. And all of it, every single dirham, was a test, because Allah gave them everything. And then He sent them a prophet, and the same trade routes that made them rich became the battleground for their souls. This is not just history. This is the anatomy of a blessing turned into a trial. And when you see how it unfolded, you'll never read Surah Quraysh the same way again. Let's go back before the revelation, before the prophet, before Islam. To understand Surah Quraysh, you have to understand who the Quraysh were and how they rose to power in a desert that should have buried them. Makkah was not a paradise. It wasn't on a river like Baghdad. It wasn't near the ocean like Alexandria. It had no greenery, no agriculture, no visible reason for anyone to live there, let alone thrive. The land was barren, water was scarce, the heat was unbearable. So why did people come? Why did Makkah become the beating heart of Arabia? Because of one thing, the Kaaba. Ibrahim and Ismail built it thousands of years earlier, and Allah placed something in the hearts of people, a pull toward that house. Tribes from all over Arabia would make pilgrimage to it, even though by the time of the Quraysh, they had corrupted the religion. They had filled the Kaaba with idols. They had turned Tawheed into shirk. But still, they came. Every year, during the sacred months, tribes would travel from Yemen, from Syria, from Iraq, converging on Makkah. And where people gather, trade follows. Pilgrimage became commerce, worship became opportunity, and the Quraysh, the descendants of Ismail through Fihr ibn Malik, positioned themselves as the guardians of the Kaaba and the masters of this economy. But it wasn't always this way. The Quraysh had to fight for their position. Makkah had been controlled by the tribe of Khuza'ah for centuries. The Quraysh were scattered, divided into clans, with no central power. Then came a man named Qusay ibn Kilab. He was a strategic genius. He united the clans of Quraysh, expelled Khuza'ah, and took control of Makkah. He established the system of governance, giving each clan specific responsibilities. One clan would provide water to the pilgrims, another would host them, another would hold the keys to the Kaaba, another would carry the war banner. He turned chaos into structure, tribalism into organization. And from that point forward, the Quraysh were no longer just another tribe. They were the elite. Qusay's grandson was Hashim. And Hashim was a visionary in a different way. He saw that Makkah's real power wasn't just religious, it was economic. Pilgrims came once a year, but trade could flow all year long. So Hashim did something revolutionary. He began negotiating treaties with surrounding kingdoms and tribes. He went north to the Byzantine-controlled regions of Syria. He went south to Yemen, which was under various powers, including Abyssinia and Persia, at different times. He convinced them to give Quraysh safe passage, to respect their caravans, to allow them to trade without harassment. In exchange, Quraysh would remain neutral in regional conflicts, would allow free trade in Makkah during pilgrimage season, and would facilitate the movement of goods across Arabia. These agreements were called Ilaf, compacts of protection and safe passage, and they were gold, because Arabia was a dangerous place. Tribes raided each other constantly. Trade routes were risky. Caravans could be ambushed, robbed, destroyed, but the Quraysh, through a combination of diplomacy, strategic marriages, and their religious prestige as guardians of the Kaaba, created a network where their caravans were untouchable. If you attacked a Quraysh caravan, you risked angering all of their allies. You risked being banned from Makkah during pilgrimage. You risked isolation. So people didn't attack them, they protected them, and the wealth started flowing. The winter journey went south to Yemen. They would bring back spices, incense, frankincense, myrrh, luxury goods from India and East Africa that came through Yemeni ports. The summer journey went north to Syria. They would bring back grain, olive oil, weapons, textiles from Byzantine markets, and in Makkah they would sell, trade, and redistribute. Makkah became the hub, the middleman, the center of a trade network that stretched from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea. And the Quraysh became unimaginably wealthy. We're not talking about comfortable, we're talking about generational wealth. Mansions, servants, gold, silk, political influence, social prestige, everything dunya could offer. But here's what they forgot. Every blessing is a test. Every gift from Allah comes with a responsibility. And the greatest responsibility is gratitude, which manifests as worship. Allah says in Surah Quraysh, "So let them worship the Lord of this house, who has fed them from hunger and made them safe from fear." That's the transaction. You were nobody. I made you somebody. You were hungry. I fed you. You were in danger. I gave you safety. So worship me, alone, the way Ibrahim worshipped me, the way Ismail worshipped me. But they didn't. They took the blessings and forgot the benefactor. By the time Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, the Quraysh were at the peak of their power. They controlled Makkah. They controlled the trade. They controlled the religious narrative. The Kaaba, which was built for the worship of Allah alone, housed 360 idols. Every tribe had placed their deity inside, and the Quraysh maintained it all because it served their economic interests. More idols meant more pilgrims. More pilgrims meant more commerce. Religion had become a business model. And the leaders of Quraysh, men like Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, they weren't just religious authorities. They were CEOs, shareholders in a lucrative system that depended on the status quo. Then came the Prophet, orphaned, raised by his uncle, known for his honesty and trustworthiness. At 40 years old, he retreated to the cave of Hira, and the angel Jibril came to him with the first revelation. "Read in the name of your Lord who created and made." When he began calling people to Islam, to Tawheed, to the worship of Allah alone, the Quraysh didn't reject him because they thought he was lying. Deep down, many of them knew he was truthful. Abu Jahl himself admitted, "We do not call you a liar, but we reject what you have brought." So why did they oppose him so violently? Why the torture, the boycott, the assassination attempts? Because he was a threat to their economy. Think about it. The Prophet's message was simple. There is no God but Allah. Abandon the idols. Worship the Creator, not the creation. But if people abandoned the idols, why would they come to Makkah? If the Kaaba was stripped of its statues, would the pilgrims still journey there? Would the tribes still gather? Would the trade still flow? The Quraysh had built an entire empire on religious corruption, and Islam was calling for the destruction of that empire, not with swords, but with truth. The message of Tawheed was an economic earthquake, and they knew it. So they fought back, not with arguments, because they had none, but with violence, propaganda, and political pressure. The early Muslims were tortured. Bilal radiallahu anhu, a slave, was dragged into the desert with a boulder placed on his chest under the scorching sun because he said, "Ahad, Ahad," one, one. Yasir and Sumayya, the first martyrs, were killed for their faith. Khabab ibn al-Arat was burned with hot coals. The Prophet himself was strangled, had garbage thrown on him, was insulted publicly. Why? Because every person who accepted Islam was a crack in the foundation of Quraysh's system. Every slave who believed challenged the social hierarchy. Every nobleman who converted threatened the economic monopoly. Islam wasn't just a religion, it was a revolution. And yet, the caravans kept moving. The winter and summer journeys continued. The wealth kept flowing. The Quraysh still had their treaties, their safe passages, their trade routes. Allah had given them security, and they used that security to fight His messenger. That's the depth of ingratitude. You're driving on roads Allah paid for you, eating from provisions Allah sent to you, sleeping in safety Allah granted you, and you use all of that to oppose Him. Subhanallah, this is not ancient history. This is a mirror. How many of us are living in blessings we didn't earn, comfort we didn't create, safety we didn't secure, and we're using it all to disobey Allah? We're too busy to pray, too distracted to read Quran, too attached to dunya to sacrifice for akhirah. Surah Quraysh is a warning disguised as a reminder. Allah is saying, I gave you all of this, the trade, the protection, the wealth, the influence. Not because you earned it, but because I willed it. And the same way I gave it, I can take it away. And He did. When the Muslims migrated to Medina, the Prophet made a strategic decision. He began intercepting Quraysh caravans, not out of revenge, but as economic warfare. The Quraysh had expelled the Muslims from their homes, confiscated their property, forced them into exile. So the Muslims struck back where it hurt most. The trade routes, the caravans, the wealth. The Battle of Badr started because of a caravan. Abu Sufyan was returning from Syria with a massive caravan full of goods worth 50,000 dinars, equivalent to millions today. The Prophet marched out with just over 300 men, not to fight an army, but to intercept that caravan. Abu Sufyan sent word to Makkah, and the Quraysh mobilized 1,000 soldiers to protect their wealth. And when the two armies met at Badr, it wasn't just a battle, it was a statement. Allah was showing them that the wealth they worshipped, the trade they depended on, the power they thought was theirs, it was all from Him, and He could turn it into dust. Badr was a massacre for the Quraysh. 300 Muslims defeated 1,000. 70 of the Quraysh elite were killed, 70 were captured. Abu Jahl, the pharaoh of this ummah, was struck down and killed. Leaders, noblemen, commanders, all dead in one day. And the caravan, it escaped. But the message was delivered. Your wealth can't save you, your numbers can't save you, your trade routes can't save you. Only Allah can. And if you fight His religion, He will humiliate you with the very blessings He gave you. The Quraysh had been untouchable for generations. Their caravans never attacked, their city never threatened. And in one morning, that illusion shattered. But they didn't learn. After Badr, they should have recognized the truth. They should have seen that this was divine intervention, that a religion defended by Allah Himself cannot be defeated by men. But pride is a disease. It blinds, it deafens, it hardens the heart until it can't recognize truth even when it's staring it in the face. So they prepared for revenge. They gathered an army of 3,000 and marched to Uhud. And this time, the Muslims made a tactical mistake. Archers left their posts. The tide of battle turned. 70 Muslims were martyred. The Prophet himself was injured. But even in that loss, there was a lesson. Victory is from Allah, not from numbers, not from strategy, not from strength, from Him alone. The Quraysh continued fighting. The Battle of the Trench, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, skirmishes, raids, propaganda. But with every battle, with every confrontation, the Muslims grew stronger, not in numbers at first, but in faith, in clarity, in purpose. And the Quraysh grew weaker, not in wealth, they still had money, but in morale, in unity, in conviction, because deep down, they knew They knew the Prophet was telling the truth. They knew the idols were powerless. They knew Islam was spreading not because of force, but because of truth. And there's nothing more exhausting than fighting against what you know is right. Then came the conquest. 8 years after the Hijrah, the Prophet marched toward Makkah with 10,000 men. Not in rage, not in revenge, but in strength rooted in mercy. When he entered the city, he could have slaughtered everyone. He could have razed it to the ground. He could have made them taste what they made the early Muslims taste. But he didn't. He stood at the door of the Kaaba and asked, "What do you think I will do with you?" And they said, "You are a noble brother, son of a noble brother." And he said, "Go, you are free. No executions, no mass punishment, just forgiveness." And one by one, the leaders of Quraysh, the same men who tortured Muslims, who fought Islam for years, they accepted Islam, not because they were forced, but because they finally saw the truth they had been running from. And then the Prophet did something symbolic. He entered the Kaaba and destroyed the idols, one by one. 360 statues that had corrupted the house of Ibrahim, he toppled them with his staff, reciting, "Truth has come and falsehood has perished. Indeed, falsehood is bound to perish." The Kaaba was purified. The system that the Quraysh had built their entire empire on was dismantled. And yet Islam didn't destroy Makkah. It elevated it. The pilgrimage continued, but now it was for Allah alone. The trade continued, but now it was blessed. The city remained the center, but now it was the center of Tawheed, not Shirk. Here's the secret. Allah didn't need to destroy the Quraysh to establish Islam. He transformed them. He took the same people who fought his messenger and turned them into the carriers of his message. Abu Sufyan, the leader of the opposition, became a Muslim. Khalid ibn al-Walid, the general who killed dozens of Muslims, became the sword of Allah. Ikrimah ibn Abu Jahl, the son of Islam's greatest enemy, became a shaheed in the path of Allah. The same trade routes that funded the fight against Islam became the routes that spread Islam. The same wealth that was used to persecute Muslims became the wealth that built masajid, funded armies, and supported the poor. That's the essence of Surah Quraysh. Allah is reminding them, and us, that everything you have is from me. Your safety is from me. Your provision is from me. Your success is from me. So don't use my blessings to disobey me. Don't let comfort make you arrogant. Don't let wealth make you forget, because I gave it and I can take it. But if you submit, if you worship, if you align yourself with my will, I don't just let you keep the blessing. I multiply it, I purify it. I make it a means of eternal reward instead of temporary pleasure. Now let's talk about what this means for you. Because Surah Quraysh isn't just about an ancient tribe. It's about every single person who has been given something they didn't earn and then forgot who gave it to them. You live in a country where you're safe. You're not running from bombs. You're not fleeing war. You sleep in a bed. You have a roof. That's ilaf. That's protection. Allah gave you that. You have food in your fridge. You're not starving. You're not watching your children go hungry. That's provision. Allah gave you that. You have a job, a degree, a skill, an opportunity. That's success. Allah gave you that. So what are you doing with it? Are you using your safety to worship or to waste time? Are you using your provision to be grateful or to be greedy? Are you using your success to serve Allah or to serve your ego? The Quraysh had everything, and they used it to fight the truth. Don't be like them. Don't be so comfortable in your blessings that you forget the one who blessed you. Because Allah doesn't need your worship. You need it. He doesn't need your gratitude. You need it. Because gratitude protects the blessing. Ingratitude destroys it. The Quraysh learned that the hard way. You don't have to. Let's get specific. You're living in the West or in a Muslim majority country with relative peace. You have access to Islamic knowledge that previous generations would have died for. You can open your phone and listen to Quran. You can access tafsir, hadith, lectures, courses, all for free. You can pray in masajid without fear. That's ilaf. That's a trade route of knowledge and faith that Allah has opened for you. But are you using it? Or are you scrolling through Instagram during Fajr time? Are you binge-watching Netflix when you could be learning your deen? Are you investing in dunya and neglecting akhirah? Or think about your family. You have parents who are alive. That's a blessing most people lose and then regret. You have children who are healthy. You have siblings, relatives, a network of support. That's provision. Allah placed those people in your life. Are you honoring them? Are you kind to them? Are you patient with them? Or are you too busy, too stressed, too focused on your career, your goals, your comfort? The Quraysh had wealth, but they had no gratitude. Don't be wealthy in blessings and poor in shukr. Here's the painful reality. Most of us are living in the blessing without recognizing it until it's gone. You don't appreciate health until you're sick. You don't appreciate safety until there's danger. You don't appreciate your parents until they pass away. You don't appreciate your youth until it's gone. You don't appreciate your wealth until you lose it. Surah Quraysh is telling you to wake up now, before the test becomes a regret. Recognize what you have, acknowledge where it came from, and respond with worship. So let them worship the Lord of this house. Not just pray, not just fast. Worship. Make your entire life an act of ibadah. Your work becomes worship when you do it with integrity and the intention to provide halal for your family. Your rest becomes worship when you use it to recharge so you can serve Allah better. Your relationships become worship when you treat people with the akhlaq of the Prophet. Your wealth becomes worship when you spend it in the path of Allah. Everything, every moment, every choice can be worship if your heart is aligned. But if you take the blessings and forget the benefactor, you're on the path of the Quraysh before Islam. You're building a house on sand. You're investing in what will perish and neglecting what will last. And when the test comes, and it will come, you'll realize too late that the safety you had was temporary, the wealth was a trial, and the real success was in submission, not accumulation. Surah Quraysh ends with two divine attributes: who has fed them from hunger and made them safe from fear. Food and safety, provision and protection. These are the two fundamental human needs. Everything else is extra. You can have a mansion, but if you're starving, you're miserable. You can have wealth, but if you're in constant fear, you have no peace. Allah is saying, I gave you the two things that matter most, not because you're special, not because you earned it, but because I am Ar-Razzaq, the provider, and I am Al-Muhaymin, the protector. So recognize that and respond appropriately. The scholars say this surah was revealed in Makkah during the early period of Islam as a reminder to the Quraysh of Allah's favors upon them. But it's also a prophecy, because after they accepted Islam, those same trade routes became the pathways of dawah, the same connections they had with Syria, Yemen, Abyssinia, Persia. Those became the channels through which Islam spread. Companions traveled those routes as traders and as teachers. They went to the same cities, met the same people, but this time they brought the message of Tawheed. What was once used for dunya became a means for akhirah. And that's the transformation Allah offers you. Whatever you have right now, your skills, your resources, your position, your influence, Allah can flip it. He can take what you're using for yourself and turn it into a means of benefit for the ummah and reward for you. But you have to submit it. You have to offer it. You have to say, Ya Allah, I recognize this is from you, so use me however you want. And when you do that, when you stop clinging and start giving, that's when your life starts to mean something beyond yourself. Think about the companions who came from Quraysh. Abu Bakr, the wealthiest man who spent his entire fortune on Islam. Umar, the leader who became the epitome of justice. Uthman, who funded entire armies. Ali, who slept in the Prophet's bed, risking his life. These were men who had everything to lose in dunya: wealth, status, comfort, safety, and they gave it all up. Not recklessly, but strategically. They understood that this life is a trade. Allah is offering you Jannah in exchange for your submission. That's the best deal you'll ever get, and they took it without hesitation. What's stopping you from taking it? Fear? Fear of what people will say if you start practicing? Fear of losing opportunities if you choose halal over haram? Fear of being different, standing out, being labeled? That's the same fear the early Muslims had to overcome. And they did it not because they were superhuman, but because they valued Allah's pleasure more than people's approval. They feared Allah more than they feared creation. And that fear, that taqwa, is what liberated them. It gave them a courage that no worldly power could shake. Or maybe it's attachment. You're attached to your lifestyle, your habits, your comfort zone. You know you need to change, but change is hard. It requires sacrifice, it requires letting go, and letting go feels like loss. But it's not, it's liberation. Every sin you abandon, you're freeing yourself from a chain. Every obligation you fulfill, you're building a fortress around your soul. Every act of worship, you're investing in an account that will never depreciate. The Quraysh were attached to their idols, not because they believed in them, but because their entire system depended on them. And when they let go, they didn't lose. They gained everything. Here's the final secret. The trade routes of Makkah were never just physical, they were spiritual. Allah was teaching the Quraysh, and through them teaching us, that life itself is a journey. You're traveling from this world to the next. You're carrying provisions, not goods and gold, but deeds, good deeds and bad deeds. And at the end of the route, you'll meet your Lord. He's going to ask you, what did you bring? What did you do with what I gave you? And on that day, your bank account won't matter, your car won't matter. Your house, your job, your status, none of it will matter. The only thing that will matter is whether you worshipped him, whether you were grateful, whether you used the blessings to obey or to disobey. Surah Quraysh is 4 verses, but it contains the entire contract between Allah and humanity. I provide, I protect, you worship, that's it. No confusion, no complexity, just a clear transaction. And the beauty is, even when you fail, even when you forget, even when you disobey, Allah's door is still open. The Quraysh fought Islam for years. They killed Muslims. They tortured believers. And yet, when they finally submitted, Allah forgave them. He didn't hold grudges. He didn't reject them. He accepted them. He used them. He honored them. So if you've been living in blessings without gratitude, start now. If you've been using Allah's gifts to disobey Him, stop now. If you've been ungrateful, complaining, distant from worship, return now. Because the same Lord who fed the Quraysh from hunger and made them safe from fear is your Lord. And He's still providing. He's still protecting. He's still waiting for you to turn to Him. Not with perfection, but with sincerity. Not with a flawless record, but with a humble heart that says, Ya Allah, I've been wrong. Forgive me, guide me, use me.